Okay, so Yuvraj, you can go ahead.
Hello. So I'm audible clearly, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the different ways through which you can get data into your system. And once you have data in your system, you can answer the question. So there are three or four steps that needs to be done. First, you need to get the data. Then you need to do the cleanup, and then you need to do some transformation, and then you need to give answer to the questions that are asked. So if I go to this particular so if I go to this particular URL, hello, hello,
So you're audible.
okay, okay. If I want this particular information, whatever is there, these name of the badges and how many people were awarded this particular badge. So these kind of information you might see them in the network tab.
By the way, guys, can you see Yuvraj's screen? Because I'm not able to see his screen.
Oh,
Okay, so the screen is visible.
Okay.
so here in network tab, I can see the request that are sent from the system to the backend. So if I look at this badges.json, it will have the information about all the badges that are here and the number of counts for every badge. So in order to, so the data that I will receive it will be in this format. So I will have badge type. Then we have three type of badges: gold, bronze, and silver. And then this is badge grouping. So they have some ID. This one have community as ID. So it is here. So these badges will fall under community badges. And these are the actual badges. So this is how I will receive this information. So if I want to get this information into my system, can anyone tell what all are the things that are required to get these things into the Python notebook?
The URL header.
Yes, the URL. And in header, we need to pass two key information.
And if there are any payloads.
Hmm. Yes, yes, Vishnu, were you talking? Hello.
I guess the mic was opened by mistake.
Okay. So I will be looking for this request URL. Along with that, the method that needs to be used for sending the and then we'll go to the request header, and it will have some information about the cookies that needs to be used, and it is storing information in key value pair. So this is the key, and then this is the value against this particular key. And so what we will do, we'll copy this key value pair. So whatever is against cookie, we'll need to copy that, and we'll need to send it. So we'll use request library, and then with get function, we'll send some cookies in the list dictionary my cookies, and it have the same keys that were there in the cookie. And the other way to get these same cookies is via application tab. So here we can see the same under cookies, we can see the same cookies. So we will copy the name and the corresponding values, and then we'll pass it through this, and this will give us some response, and the it will have the same format that was there in the response headers, not in the response header, in the response itself. So if we want some information through API calls, we'll need to send the URL, and then we also need to send the cookies, and we also might need to send headers. So if you want to send headers, that was required for sending request in to the GitHub API that was there. So the same way we will send it. Um, and by changing these parameters, we can get different different set of responses. So if we have this users page, it will display 50 users at a time, and then if we go down, it will use the same get request on the same URL but with some other parameters. So by changing those parameters, we can uh, get the data that is required. And here we have some 37,000 users. So every time it is sending 50 users. So by sending some request, we can get this whole data. But in ROE, we won't need to send this much request. Then after this API call, so the data might be given to us in some files, and then we might need to extract some meaningful information from those files. So those files might be XML files or HTML files. So here we have an XML file, and so the DOM that is used to represent this XML file will have bookstore as an element, and within bookstore we have books, and for every book we have category, and they also have attributes such as page, and category is one of the attribute, and language is one of the attribute. So now for parsing this information we will be using beautiful soup. So what beautiful soup will allow us to do, it will allow us to scrape data from XML and HTML files. So if we are using XML files, so we'll need to uh, tell which parser they need to use. So here is information about all the parser and the use case. So if we are using HTML, then this is the way to use HTML, and these are for XMLs. And since I am using XML, so I'm using this parser. And I will also have to install this parser. Hmm, yeah, I will have to install the parser. So now, now if I want to get all the books, so this book for find all, what it will allow me to do, it will allow me to look for the by their tag name or by their attribute names, what attribute they are taking. So if I want
So,
to get all the books,
sorry to interrupt.
then
Can you just scroll up what parser you have given for soup object? Okay, this is XML. Okay, and
XML.
for HTML, it will be HTML dot parser, right?
Yes, for HTML it will be HTML.parser.
Okay. And Collab is directly allowing to use. Okay, you are doing in VS Code. Fine, fine. In Collab, there was no need of pip install. We were directly using VS Code.
Collab they might have some parser for XML. So this will get us all the books in the list format. So if I look at the 0th book, then this is how I can get the 0th book out of that. And now if I want to, for example, if I want to just get the book that are written in English, they have language as English and maybe science as in category. So for that, what I will do, I will just remove these things and I will just give one values. So this will get me all the books that are written in English or and they have science as the category. So this was the only book that was there. And can anyone guess what was this code doing? If I put category in some list, what it will do? For any attribute, if I pass a list of values for that attribute, then what will happen? Hello? Am I
It
audible?
will return all
Yes,
the
sir.
entries, uh,
Yeah, it will return all
whatever,
the.
all the entries, whatever, regarding whatever that is listed in the category list.
Okay, okay, yes. So here it should give me these two books, right?
Science and technology.
Yeah. So either they have category as science or they have category as technology. So sometimes if you want to get the data that is relevant to a particular attribute, so if a attribute needs to take a particular value, then we can pass multiple values in a list format. So for example, if I want language to be English or Hindi, that I can do by doing this. Just pass multiple at values inside the attrs. And what this will do, this will get us all the books that is written in English, and then category should be from one of these things, and all the books that are written in Hindi and category should be from one of these things. So for Hindi, we have this book, but this book doesn't have any category science or technology, so it won't get selected because here we are restricting it to be from science or category technology. Anyone have any doubt on that?
Um, what input can we give in this category list if we want to fetch that Hindi with no category? Hindi with
Hindi with
no category mentioned. If we want to fetch
uh,
that one, can we give just quotes in that list? Just the quotes. Category science, technology, and the third entry is like just the quotes. Can it fetch
okay,
that Hindi
let us
one?
see that if that works out. This should search for empty, so I think it will work out. No,
No, it did not.
no. And if I remove this, then it should work.
Correct.
And if I remove this English as well from here, yes, now it is working.
It worked. Yeah.
Okay, what if I try this is equal to none? No, still it won't work. So these books, they have this category and these things. So if I want to store this data into some meaningful format, so I can just loop over all the books, because the that is a list object. And then if I want name and author, so what I will do, I will just get from that particular book, I will search for the name tag, and then I will also search for the author tag. So this will give me name of the book and author name of the book. And then I will just append the dictionary to the list. And once I have dictionary in there, then I can just put it inside a data frame. And this will get us something like this. So data frame have name and author name. So similar to XML files, HTML have the same, HTML follows the same DOM structure. So they will have some root element, and within that root element, we'll have some other uh, tags, and then inside those tags, we'll have some other tags. So the only flexibility here is we can define our own tag. I can name this tag as anything. So I can just name it, instead of book, it can be anything else. I can put it cloth or whatever. But in HTML, we don't have that flexibility. So here we have one HTML file which have root at the top, and then inside that we have HTML. Then within HTML we have head and body, and within body we have h1 tag. Then we have another div tag that have some paragraph. Then we have another div, and then within that div we have some paragraph. So for parsing HTML file, we'll use html.parser. And this is what we have got. And now if you want to get all the body tags, so this is how I can find all the body tags. So since for the for HTML files, we'll only be having one body tag. So this is what it is. So if I just look for its length, it will be 1. So now, similar to the XML, what it is doing, it is within this body tag, it is getting all the div tags. So what it will select this div, and then it will also select this div. So it should have two elements. One element will have this much information, and the other element will have this information. If I just run this cell, so one have this much, this whole div, and the other one will have this much. And then within this div, we are looking for another div. So here, these two elements were selected. So this is the one, and then this is the other one. So if I look for this outside div, so it have this inner div as well. So if I look for another div within this div, it will select this div, the inner one. And if I look for the div inside the inner div, there is nothing. So nothing will get selected. And after getting the div this much, and then we are looking for this paragraph. And then what this dot string is trying to do, it will try to update whatever is there inside the paragraph tag. So it will update this line of HTML. So if I run this, And now if I look for this div, so this should get changed. And what about here? Will this also change? Because that is some it should change, yeah. So this is the way to get from a particular tag we can get information like this, and then we can pass the attributes using uh, using this format, this dictionary format, key value format. Does anyone have any doubt on that? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir, you said we can use the dictionary data type. In HTML also, we can also use that.
No. So what I said was we can pass our attributes using this dictionary format, right?
For XML files.
Yeah, similar to XML file, we can pass these arguments to the HTML file as well.
So can you do once?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so let's within body tag, we'll look for this h1 tag which have float is equal to 1, right? Okay. Mm, and what this find will do, this find will get the first element that is matching with the selector that we have given. So name should be h1, and then so here we have got the required information.
And then sir, the values present within the tags are attributes.
Jivraj, so you're not audible.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So was someone saying something? I missed out.
Sir, I was saying the values present within the text will be taken as attributes, like slot one here.
Yes, so these are the attributes. So we need to pass it as an key value pair. So here we have this float as an attribute within this h1 tag, and it have this one as in value, right?
Yes, sir.
So we will pass it as in dictionary. So you can even define it explicitly. So um, we can define all the attributes that are needed there, and then we can pass it like this. So the other thing is we can pass the class name directly, I think by giving underscore class or something. That will allow us to pass the class name. So one way is you can just put class attribute here, and then you can put values here. So if that element have multiple classes, you can pass multiple values by in a list by separating through commas. And the other way is you can just put the class name here itself. I think it was underscore class only. Let me just check. Mm, class attributing.
Sir, I think it's class underscore. Someone has posted it in the chat box.
Okay, it is class underscore. Okay, so I'm just defining the class for this particular tag. So let's put class 0 as an, and then we need to use class underscore, and it should be class 0. This can be removed. Okay, I need to read it back from the file. Then I will need to create the soup element again, and then now I can access it. How is it not accessible? Okay, I haven't run the body code, so now it should be, it should have get changed. So now I have got this particular element with a particular class, and if it have multiple classes separated by comma, so I just want to check if we can pass a list here. So we can pass multiple classes like this as well, and we can even pass classes within the attribute itself. So if you want to put other attributes other than class, then you can also use this. You can pass the attributes explicitly as well. So this will match with the class having 0 or 1, and then it will also match with the float 1, the attribute float 1. And I think we have some id underscore Is it there? I don't remember if it is there or not. Follows keyword argument. I think ID is not an attribute, or if it is, it might be that we are not using the correct attribute. So we can just put it in the attribute itself. So now we'll go to some website that have some real data that we can scrap. So this website, it have some statistics about the most number of wickets that are taken. So it have the player name, then span, I mean from what period to what period, and then it have how many matches played, innings and balls used, overs, maidens, and then runs, wickets, and best inning bowling, and then average, and these things are there. So if I want to get this data into Python, so what I will do, I will just go to the inspect tab, and then I will look for the table tag. So within the body tag, there must be some table, or we can even hover over it, and then we can see here. So if I so if we select anything here, and then if I click on this, and if I go to inspect tab, okay, it's not opening up. If I hover over it again, and now if I go to inspect tab, then it will open this tab near the element itself. So here I can see one table container, table element that have this particular class. And then within this table, we have some header that have information about the columns that are used. And then we have some table body. So this is where all this information is stored. So now what I want to do, I want to look at this particular um, so from this particular document, what I want to look for the table that have where is table? Yeah, so that have this particular class. So it have got multiple classes separated by comma, and then within this table we need to get this particular table head, and within this table head we need to go look for each of these elements, these TD elements. So here I have defined the link that we are using. So we have got this text here. Now we'll parse this text using HTML parser through the beautiful soup. And now if I print the soup itself, it will get all the whole HTML page into the system. Pretty fine. So if I need to quickly check if I have got the required information or not, so sometimes what will happen, you might not get. So when you are sending this request to the URL, what might happen? They might not send you the this data. This right data might not be present there because they might be using some JavaScript calls to populating this table once this Uh, so what is happening when you are looking for this table? When you are first time visiting this page, what will happen? They will send you some HTML that have the structure of the DOM, but all those elements might be populated after the page loads. So it might be loading through some JavaScript calls. So if that is the case, then you might not get data straightforward. So one way to check is you can just pick one of the name. So I can just pick name of one player and I can look inside this file. Since this name is there, then the data should be there. So now what I need to do, I need to get this particular class and I need to pass it. So for doing that, we'll pass it through beautiful soup, and then there we will use this select one. What this select one will allow me to do, it will allow me to put a query selector and I can get data using that query selector. So we have got different kind of query selectors. So if you want to select table with so if you want to select anchor tag that have title attribute, so this is the way you can select it. And if you want to select from the DOM element, if you just want to select anchor tag that have href is equal to this, then this is the way you can select. And then this what it will do, it will look for uh, the anchor tag that have example in it, and then this will try to look for .org extension at the ending of the uh, href. Then what this will do, this will look for the class attribute that contains logo in it. So those things will get selected. So for our purpose, what we need to select this particular table with this class, right? It have multiple classes separated by spaces. Here we can see. So all these space. So if there is a space in here, this is some different class. And then this is way to select hashtag in different. So now what we need is we need to select multiple classes. So here what this will allow to do, this will allow us to get the element that have a spacious class, and then this will allow us to get the element that is li element with a spacious class. And then here we have got the li element with multiple classes. So if you want to apply multiple classes, then this is the way you can just put the name of the tag followed then dot the first class, then dot second class, and then you can keep appending more classes like this. So we have got multiple classes on this particular table tag. So if I want to select this particular table tag with these classes, so what I have to do, I have to do table dot the name of the first class, then name of the second class, then name of the third class, name of the fourth class, and so on. So this is what I have done here. I have done table dot, this is the name of the first class, dsw full, dsw full, then ds table, this is the name of the second class. So I will just put dot 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 dot, and I will just keep on putting the name of the classes. So this will just select the table tag.
So this one, can we also write it as earlier syntax like name is equal to table and attributes classes as a list of all these values?
Uh, so if we write it is in the list of those values, so what it is doing, it is doing OR. If it matches with one of the class, then it will think it's matched. So if this is one of the class that is there, it will look for this class if we just pass it as in comma separated values. But what we want to look for the table tag that have all these classes. So just to put all these classes, so this is OR. It will search if class 0 is there or class 1 is there. So it is just OR thing, and then what this is. And so if this table tag have multiple classes, this is how I can do. If I just put all these classes here, so it will treat them as OR class. So if there is some
So
other table element that have dsw full, so if it just have this class, then also it will get matched. And this query selector, you can even see by hovering over the element. So if I hover over this table tag, in the left hand side we can see table dot. If you see here, then this something like this will come up. Hello.
You're audible.
Okay. So this will get us the table tag. Now we have the table tag. What we need within this table tag, we'll look for the table header that will have information about the column names. So table header, it have these classes. This is one class, and then this is another class. So so within this table, I'm looking for a table header. So why I'm looking for just table header? I'm looking for just table header because for one table there will be only one table head. So that's why I haven't put explicitly the class name. So here we have got table header. And now within table header, we are looking for span tag. So these name, so these individual column names, they are within this span. So inside this table header, we have multiple. So inside this table header, we have tr tag, that is row, and within this tr tag, we have some td tags, and there are some 15 of them. For each column, there is one td tag, and within this td tag, we have span tag with some class and those things. So one way is within this table head, I can look for tr tag. So there is only one tr tag. So this will select this much information, and then within this tr tag I can look for td tag, and then within this td tag I can look for span tag. But here I haven't done that. I have just looked for span tag with this class, and here I have used find all. We can even use select one, and we can also use find all. So what this select one is doing, so there are two functions. So we have select one and we have select. So this select, what it will do, it will select multiple matches. If there are more than one match, it will select that. And if we use select one, it will just select for the one the first match that it will find. Similar to find and find all. Find all will select for all the different uh, all the occurrences, and find will select the first occurrence itself. So I'm looking for the span tag with this class. So this will get us all the uh, column names. So now within this column name, what I'm doing, I'm just stripping it. So if there is some extra text in it, that will be removed. And what this th.text is doing, it is just getting us whatever is there inside the tag. So in this tag we have player, and then this tag we will have span, and then this tag we have mat. So likewise, what this will do, this will get us whole header inside the list. It will have a space separated values. So now we have got this header. Now what I need to do, I need to get this table as well, this information about the players. So for that I have looked for table body, and now within table body what I will do, I will look for each tr tag. So that is so within each row we have td tag, and within td tag we have some span, and within span we have some anchor tag, and then we have another span and those things. So what I want to do, I want to, so within this table body I want to look for all the tr tags that have this particular right. So here we have selected the table body. Now within table body I want to look for all the tr tags. Now within tr tag I want to look for all the td tags, because that is where each of the column is stored. And now within this td tag we can look for the span that is there, span with this particular class. But I haven't done that because even without using that span I was able to get the data. Because there is only one that have some text inside it, because this is the central one. A table body is not defined. Okay. So now what I have got in this rows. So for every row here, so this is the first row. All right. So for every row here we have got 15 different values. So this is the first row, and then these are those values, 15 different values. So now what I want to do, I want to store it in the pandas data frame. So I want to pass this rows and then the column names, and column names I have stored it in the headers. And now I have got the same table inside the notebook. But as I see it, sometimes what will happen, sometimes this data might not be present in the HTML because they are sending, so they will be populating this table element using some JavaScript calls instead of sending it when you are requesting. So when you are requesting, it is just sending this document structure, and then with some calls it is populating it. If that is the case, then what we want to do, we want to use the console tab within the browser. So in the console tab, we have got two methods. One is query selector and the other is query selector all. So what query selector all will do, it will allow us to form a query. Um, and it will allow us, so query selector all, what it will do, it will match all the occurrences for that particular query. So it is just similar to select that we have used here earlier. So here within JavaScript, I'm on the document, I'm just doing query selector, and then I'm just passing the same query that I passed in the select one, or the same query I have passed. So query will remain the same. So if I do this, this will get me this table tag, table tag. And then if I look for the table header, this will get us the table header. Now within the table header, we were looking for a span that has this particular class. So the same we are doing here. So what this is doing, this is within table header, it is looking for a span, and then in the so each of these so what this, okay, let us see what this will give us. Query selector all, it will get us these 15 different nodes. Now each of these nodes, I am calling it th, and then what I'm doing, I'm applying some transformation on it. So this dot map, what it will do, it will allow me to do some transformations on the data. So this have got us 15 different nodes, and then within those, so what I'm doing, I'm picking up every single node and I'm just trimming off it from right and left, so that there is no extra spaces and those things. And then I'm putting it as an array. So So I have stored it in the headers. So it have the same headers list that was there in the Python. So it is constructed the same way. So we had selected these tags from the um, table header, and then we have created the array out of it, and then we have mapped it to do some transformations. Now what I need to do, I need to get the similar way, I need to get these rows into the system. So for that, what I will do, I will create an empty dictionary, and then within this table body we'll look for tr tag. So this will get us all these individual rows. Now once we get the row, now we have got some 100 rows. Now for every single row, what this is doing, this is calling it as tr, and then for that tr it is looking for all the column, and then it is mapping it the same way, it is trimming off the extra spaces that are there, and then after doing that it is just pushing it to the um, rows list. So this rows list, it will have 100 different entries in it, and so every single element in this rows is a list, because this is an array that we have got by running this particular mm, query selector, and then after doing some mapping. Table body is not defined, so we need to define the table body. So now we have got these rows which have for every single row we have 15 different columns. So now what I can do, I can use copy command, and then I can put the name of the variable. So we have headers variable, and what this have allowed me to do, if I just open some text editor and if I just use control V, it have got all those names into the, so it is just similar to doing control C. When we do control C, it will copy everything that is selected. So this copy will allow us to copy things from uh, the console. So now I have copied these headers. Now I can just copy rows. So these are the rows that are there. Now once I have all these, I can just put them inside Python notebook. So I can replace it with this rows that we have got from the JavaScript, and we can even replace this. So there was that headers named variable. So this one also we can rewrite by just putting this header that we have got from there. So sometimes you will have to do it in JavaScript because you won't be able to do it in the Python itself. Anyone have any doubt on this?
No.
Oh, Monica, are you trying to see something? I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, I just said no, I don't have any doubt.
Okay, okay. So these were the two different ways through which you can get data into your systems. So it is better you practice JavaScript way, because sometimes you might not be able to get data by doing just the Python thing. So these are the different ways that you can get data into your system. So by reading some XML files or HTML files, and then uh, within those HTML files, you might be looking for a particular tag with some particular attribute. So you need to know the query selector that needs to be used. So this was the one that we just used for table with multiple classes.
So if we want to retrieve the table from that the website that we showed, right, the cricket
Hmm.
website, so we can
Yes.
use pandas, right, also to. So
So what
like
you
I
can do,
think
you can,
in one line it will be extracted, right? So
yes. So in pandas we have some pd.read
HTML, right?
table or something like that, right? No,
Read
HTML, right?
HTML. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So if
just
I do
put the
this,
URL here and then it will retrieve all the tables from the URL from the web page.
yes, but sometimes the data might not be in the table. So this is when you,
No, yeah, correct. It's only for the tables only, right?
yes, yes, yes. So if it is in the table, then you can get it. But if it is not in the table, then you need to follow these things. So,
Correct.
oh,
We need
where
to
I was
follow.
coding. Okay, let's just put one another here. pt dot uh,
Read HTML.
read underscore html, and then we can just put.
The URL of the website only, if you want.
Actually, we have got the data. Then we don't have
Oh,
to
okay,
put
okay.
the URL. I think,
Okay,
right?
this one the dot text have or yeah, correct. So we have got all the tables in a list format, so we can do
Yes.
list indexing, right? This of
Mhm.
zero. Then
So if those are tables, then using this read underscore HTML method is very much easy, because it will look for those things as in only. So within this table tag, they might be looking for table header. Then within this table header, they might be looking for tr tag, and then within this tr tag, they might be looking for td tag. But if it don't have this structure that they are looking for, then it might not work.
so it's basically in the backend it uses beautiful soft only. This read HTML.
Okay. So this read HTML is there. And then sometime, so we might even need to get data from some database. So for that we need, so if that is some SQLite 3 database, then we can use SQLite 3 dot connect, and then we can just pass the name of the database that we are looking for. And after doing this, we have formed the connection with the database. Now if I do this thing pd dot reads equal, and then select star from table, and then we have this connection string. If we pass, what this will do, this will get all the data that is there in the database, I mean in this particular table, students table, as in data frame. Now I can store it inside some variable. And if there are multiple tables, you can store them in the variable, but you need to know the purpose why you are storing those them within the variable. And then you can even create some cursor and execute the commands there and only. So dot cursor. This will allow us to create a cursor and then we can execute those commands directly. And then I think some fetch all or something like that we'll need to use. This will fetch all the um, so within this table, all the rows it will fetch. So instead of so at the end we might need to store it in the data frame itself. So if we can store it in the data frame, we can do the calculations very easily. So you can even perform these calculations on the database itself. Now, instead of SQLite 3 database, you might have some other database. For that, you will need to establish connection with the database using some connection strings. So for that, I don't have code as of now. Mm, So this is particularly for SQLite 3. We can connect with some other database as well. So if I just ask GPT, how can I connect to Postgres database through. So PsychoPG2 is a library that allows you to connect with the database, and then you need to give the name of the database. Then you also need to give these things. But I think this is not required. Carlton, do you think it is required?
I mean, even if it is required, it's something that's easy to look up because, like you just demonstrated, GPT is able to give you the things. The only thing is, this stuff is normally something that is done in DBMS course. So, I mean, if we were to explain connection cursor, cursor execute, we learned all this in DBMS. That's not a module that some of you will have because some of you are diploma only students. So it's very unlikely that we will have a question regarding Postgres. But if there is, GPT has provided the correct solution because just by looking at it, I can make out that that is the correct way to deal with Postgres DB because in DBMS, we have used this exact same structure. We use the PsychoPG library as well as the cursor and the cursor execute function.
But then they need to pass these local host and port and these things. So that might need some other software like PG-admin or something like that.
So as far as the host information and port information concerned, from an ROE perspective, those things would be provided. So they will tell you what the host is and also what the port number is to connect to.
In that case, the database won't be in our local system, right?
Yeah, that would, yeah, in that case, it won't be in your local system. But
And how
typically,
about
if
the and how
typically, if
about the
we give you a
okay.
database, sorry, typically, if we give you a database, it will almost certainly be like an SQLite file. It's unlikely that we would give you something that's a Postgres DB. So, because that's not, we're not testing you on DB technologies, right? So we are trying to test you on whether you can extract information from a DB. So the key thing there is, see, the technology may vary from DB to DB. but the important bit will be the SQL query itself. That is something you will need to understand how to do and execute. So even if it is something like DuckDB, one of the benefits of DuckDB is its simplicity actually, and its speed and all those other advantages. The fact that you in DuckDB you can directly pass variables into the query, which is something normally you cannot do so easily into an SQL query. Usually it's a little more complicated to construct it. But if you look at the DuckDB examples in the video that Professor Anand has done, he shows you some remarkable things that are possible through it, because you can pass the names of data frames into the DuckDB query, into the SQL query of the DuckDB. That is quite remarkable. Normally, you would have to host a database, host the tables. The tables have to be constructed properly in an SQL format of some sort. But DuckDB has none of these issues, which makes it amazing. So if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend watching Anand's video specifically on DuckDB. With regards to Postgres DB, very unlikely you will be given such a DB. Um, Unlikely doesn't mean impossible. Okay, anything is possible in ROE. But from my personal experience, from what I've seen in past ROEs and from our discussions with things that we test students on, it's more likely that you can get a SQLite, or we will give you a connection to a database. So like you remember, like in one of the GAs, you had to connect to a database like the relational database, for example. So there you will get the details. You will get the connection, DB name, the port number, and all those things. So that won't be too difficult. And with regards to SQLite, I think Jivraj has already demonstrated how to extract information from a local SQLite file. So that is pretty straightforward, yeah. Sorry, Tarika, you were going to say something?
Thank you. I got my answer.
Okay.
So then the other file from where you need to get data is this Parquet files. So this there you just have to do pd.parquet, and then you just need to provide the path of the file. And as yesterday Carlton mentioned, you will need PyArrow for reading these Parquet files.
Can you just show one example for this pi arrow?
So all you have to do is you have to install the PyArrow. Once you have installed the PyArrow, you will need you can read data from the Parquet file. Let me see if there is some Parquet file that we can read. If there is. Okay, so I'm not able to find the Parquet file. So all you have to do is you just need to install one library, that is PyArrow. After you have installed, you don't have to do anything with that library. You just use this, it will work out. Explicitly, you don't need to use it anywhere. You just need to install it. That is it. And for installing, you can use PyArrow.
Basically, PyArrow is a dependency. So it's a dependency that is required by the pandas to be able to read that format of files. So that's all it is. It's a dependency. There are no specific functions directly you need within it.
Oh, okay. So I think one of the lectures Anand sir has taken the Parquet file, right? In that case, they didn't install. It means that Collab already has that, right?
Yeah, Collab might already have PyArrow. Yeah. It is possible.
Might be
But if you
correct.
run it on the local system, then it might require you to install.
Okay, fine.
Should I demonstrate use of LLMs?
Yes, sir.
It would be helpful.
One more thing I was going to mention also is, do you guys know how to run SQL queries directly on Pandas data frames? Hello? I
No,
mean,
I
is
think I personally myself didn't try that. I don't know.
okay.
I didn't even know that we can do that.
Yeah. So on Pandas data frame, this might be useful. Okay, it's not that you need SQL on a Pandas data frame. You can always do filtering through various functions that Pandas provide. But sometimes, okay, it is almost much easier because Pandas data frame at the end of the day is just a table, right? A single flat table. Sometimes you can do a lot so this is particularly from an ROE perspective I'm talking about, okay? Sometimes you can do a lot in just a single short, clean SQL statement than you can do with a half a dozen pandas functions. So from a speed perspective, if you're good at SQL, you can do SQL queries on a pandas data frame. For that, you will need a dependency is there or a library is there. It's called Panda SQL. I'll just type it in the chat box for you, Panda SQL. And what this library does is it enables you to run direct SQL queries on a pandas table or maybe even tables. I don't know, but I've tried it on on a single table, and you can do very powerful things with it. All the normal SQL that you can think of, counting, um, functions that aggregate, all those sort of things you can do, and that can be immensely faster in an ROE. So just something that I wanted to mention. The basic construction of it is, I'll put this also in the chat box. You would have to, so let's say, for example, if you do import pandas SQL, panda SQL. So if I as PSQL, okay. So if I do this, and then you construct some sort of query, okay, and let's say you store it in a query variable, okay. So imagine that you have a query variable. Then if you want to run that query, you just do, so if in this case I've called pandas SQL as PSQL. So just like you use PD, you know, when you're saying import pandas as PD. So in the same way, if I use PSQL, just put PSQL dot SQLDF, and then you query. And this is the way you run the query, okay. If you, and it will give you a result. That result will be in the form of a data frame, what you get out of it. And then, you know, you can do whatever further parsing you want. This is just a useful little ROE hint, okay. This has not been taught in any of the lectures, but it is something that if you're good at SQL construction, this will help you tremendously in ROE because it will get you answers very quickly for certain types of questions, okay. But the basis remains the same. You have to be good at constructing SQL. If you're good at constructing SQL, this will really be a time saver.
Okay, here this SSQLTF, is it the data frame name?
So no, that SQL df is a function of PSQL. In order to run the query, you would have to use that function.
And what is the data frame here in this query?
So the data frame will be within your query itself. Just like DuckDB, you can pass the data query, right? So you can say, for example, select star, okay. I'll just type it in here from, and then say df as your table name, okay. So you can do something like this. This is of course a very silly, simple example, but this gives you an idea of what you can do. So df here will actually be your data pandas data frame table. So you can pass it as if it was a table, okay. But you can do any kind of normal SQL construction on that. And in fact, the beauty of it is you can even ask GPT to generate you an SQL statement, right? So even if you're not that good at SQL, you can ask GPT a complex SQL query. It'll construct it for you. You can run the query and you can see what the result comes out. So you give it a practice, okay? Take some, you guys have access to lots of data frames that we have given you in GAs, right? Try this out and use some SQL queries on there to do some complex operations and see if you can get some results out of it. And you will suddenly find how valuable SQL is. There is a reason why databases have been around for 50, 60 years. And SQL as a language has been around since the 1970s. And really nothing has come to that has been effective at replacing it because it is beautiful, compact, and very quick. So if you understand SQL, it'll be a big time saver. So that's why I thought I'll quickly mention this, even though we have not taught it anywhere. Okay.
Thanks, Carmen. It was of great help actually, because writing code is a longer process than writing a query.
Sorry, Monica, I didn't quite catch that. I didn't quite hear what you said.
Yeah, I just say thank you for sharing this because writing the longer code is obviously going to be time consuming for
Yes, yes.
ROE point of view. So
Yeah,
query
sure.
would
Yeah,
be
yeah. No,
short.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, yeah.
So for making uh, a so for using chat completions endpoint, you will need something like this. So it will have some model, and then you will need to pass some messages, and then you can pass the instruction, and then you can also pass the data. So for example, if you want to get sentiment from a particular sentence, so if you want to get the sentiment for today is lovely day, So this is the instruction that we are providing here. Identify the sentiment of the sentence, say positive or negative, with a score between this range to this range. So we need to pass the instruction that we want to provide, and then the task that we want GPT to do, and then we need to pass the actual data that is there. So this is the format that we will be using for sending requests to the uh, chat completions, and in return it will give us the response. And this have within this choices we have message, and then inside message we have content that have positive with the 0.8. And then sometimes what we want to do, we might want to uh, feed the data, and then in the response you might want a particular restricted response. So we want it to generate response in some structured way. So for doing that, we will create some schema. So this have um, it have type object, and then it have item one, which have type string, and then we have item two that have type number, and then this is third variable that is an array, and each of those items are string type. So from this we need item one and categories. So these are the two things that we need. Wait. Okay, here we have got an example. There we are just using some model, and this model, it will have some structure like this. So for tools we have type, that is function, and then we'll need to name this function as something, and that function will be taking a parameter. So this is similar to the functions that we define here. So if I just define extract addresses function, and then I will have some to give some parameters and those things. So here we have defined the type, that is function, then we defined the name of the function and the parameters that needs to be used, and then we have this tools choice that have function, and then we need to use this function. Then within this messages, what we will do, we will pass. So we have some role that, so here we have system role, and here we have got user role. So to the system, we will, the content that we will pass is, we will pass the uh, instruction that needs that we want to pass. So here what we want, we need to get the JSON data. Hmm. And then the content that we are passing is the from the addresses list. We are selecting the first element, and within this first element we are selecting the uh, address, the value corresponding to the address. So that is what we are passing here, and then we are sending the request to the chat completions API with the headers as usual, and this data. So this data, it has this sort of structure. So it has some model name, and then response format needs to be JSON object, and then tools, there will be some function, and then extract address, and then in parameter we have this schema, and this schema we need to define explicitly. So we are asking GPT to get us some JSON via extract address. So that format in which we want the uh, JSON back, we have to define it. So we have got your type here, and then we have these properties. So we have some property state, that is an object. So within a state we have this these other properties. So this is description of the state. So it won't be appearing in the response. Then we have these properties. So for a state, we have name and code as two properties. And then from here, we need to pass what all we need. So for so we have state one property, and from there we need a name and code. Similar to that, we have country as an property, and that is of type object, and then within this country we have name and code. These are two properties of the country, and here are the data types of those two properties. And then we are saying from the country we need name and the code, and then from zip we just need the code. And then from here we need all three of them: state, country, and zip. So these are the three variables that we need. So this is the structured way. So if this name have first name and second name, so then again you will need to put it inside some object. So that so then the name will be of type object, and with in that object we'll have first name and last name as two of them. So by sending this request, we will get the response back in this format. So here it have got us the data back to us. So this is the way we can do. So this is how we can use chat completion. So anyone have any doubt on it? Okay. And then this is for getting the embeddings. So we need to put it all the words that we are looking for in a input words as a list, and then we need to create a JSON data object, and then we will be passing the input words, and then we'll need the model name. So for chat completions, we will be using models like Turbo and GPT Mini and GPT-4 Mini and those things. For embeddings, we have text small and embedding and something like that is there. Text embedding 3 small. Yeah, this is the one. And then we'll send the request to this URL. It will give us embeddings back. So after you got the embeddings, you might need to get the cosine similarities and those things. So for them, we have so here what we have done, we have just created this key value pair kind of thing, and then here we have figured out the dot product. So this dot product is different than the cosine similarity. And so here there is nothing much to do here. So you just have to send these request, and this will get us back a response that have some embeddings like this. It will have some other keys as well, but we'll need the embeddings itself. So that is there. And so this is the one that will be that might be asked, and so you need to know how to create this how to send this request, and you need to know this schema thing, how to create the correct schema to get the response back from the GPT. So there is this structured way to form this request. So you need to know this thing, and it will be better if you keep it in the reference notebook that you are going to create. So from the LLM perspective, this is what I was going to cover.
One thing I wanted to ask. In ROE, will it be something like if I submit the answers, all my answers will be gone and then again I have to feed?
No, no, no. That
Or
won't happen in ROE.
it will be
Answers
preserved?
will be there, right?
No, no, because in project like what we used to do is when I submit the answers, then the answers will be gone, right?
No, in ROE that won't happen.
It will be there, right? So I can submit it multiple times. Like if I do 5 questions, then I can again submit, and then again I can proceed with question 6. Again, I don't need to fill from question number 1, right? My answers.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Okay, so that is what I need to cover.
Can you show the first request that you sent to LLM, the sentiment one?
Yes. So this is
So
very basic one.
what is the
Yeah,
data here?
data is this one,
Oh, okay.
the
So
sentence itself.
yeah, okay,
So here we are just providing the instruction, and this is the data that the instruction needs to be applied to.
correct.
Okay,
Does anyone have anything?
one more thing I was just going to mention. I might have mentioned it in one of the early sessions when we started the TDS, which was there are some libraries that are all or not libraries, but some types of data processing that are always useful. They come again and again and again, and it comes in different forms. And that is how to deal with dates. Okay, because usually data tends to have things regarding dates. So one thing you should definitely try and do is remember that in Python you can parse dates in a certain manner, and there are two types of functions to convert dates. So there's string p time and string f time in the date library of Python, and just be very familiar on how they work and how to use them. So even though you can GPT it, if you know it and you have direct access to the function itself, just make a note of it in your notebook and keep it ready. If you want to convert a string, what are the various things you require for it to do the conversion? Because that's almost something that's a very common requirement in any kind of data work. So just something that I wanted to make sure that you would keep in your notebooks. It'll most likely, there's almost I think there is not a single ROE where I've seen where being able to deal with dates has not been something that that you can avoid. So just keep a function, Python function regarding that, okay, in your notebooks.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you please repeat that? There was a little hindrance from my side.
Yeah, I think Jivraj will just show you. He'll just bring it onto the screen now in just a couple of seconds.
Your mic is off, I guess. Are you speaking something?
Oh, sorry. I thought my mic was working. Okay, sorry. What I was saying is this is the functions I was talking about. Converting time. It's a very, very common issue that you face in ROE. Okay, not just ROE. In any sort of data cleaning situation, you always encounter dates. And so being able to convert text data, so the data may be in a CSV or something, converting text data into some sort of time that you can do operations on is very useful. So there are two ways to convert, right? From text into a date time structure, and from a date time structure back into a text. Both those operations, the forward operation and the reverse operation, both are important. So if you are familiar with how to do this, this is always quite useful to know, okay? Because there's almost always going to be some sort of involvement with regards to these sorts of conversion. Is there anything you want to add, Jivraj, with regards to this?
No, actually, this is the thing. So they need to know, students needs to know what this percentage T and percentage M and how to put them together. So um, each part needs to be known. So yeah, the format, they need to provide the correct format that needs to be used. Yes, Shmadeep, do you want to ask something?
Yeah. I wanted to ask, like, not an ask. I want to just request something. Since the seventh recording is not available, and can I just guys show you like how to fetch the API request fast? Like you guys mentioned, it can be done in 1 minute.
Uh, okay.
So while he's doing that, the thing I was going to mention is the video will be uploaded either by tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay, because I have sent the video to the JK and he's aware that the video has not yet been uploaded. So he said he will get it uploaded as soon as possible, and most likely by tomorrow morning it will be there. Okay.
And so, what about this session?
Yeah, this session also will be uploaded by tomorrow morning.
Oh.
Yeah. The thing is, if we could, right, we would have uploaded it ourselves, but we don't, TAs have not been, at least for this course, TAs have not been given permission to the admin rights for the recording or the channel. That is the reason we are not able to give permissions. So even though we can see the video, we can't actually give permissions to anyone to view it. In fact, just today I got an email back from one of the persons in operations asking, can you give me permissions to upload the video? And I said to him, we don't have the authority ourselves, so we can't, give the permissions. Only people in operations and the instructors, they are the only ones who have admin rights to these things. So that's the reason. It's not like we are keeping it away from you. We are doing our very best to get it to you as quickly as possible. Okay, within the limitations of the uh, structure that we have to work with. Okay, but I've been assured that it will be uploaded by tomorrow in the morning.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Rishabh.
Sir, what are the files that we are expected to scrape? Like, I talked to some senior, there were like 4 to 5 files, like which they mentioned. So I want to confirm.
No, 4 to 5 files. It varies. Okay, sometimes it will
No,
be
no, no,
less.
no, not four to in numbers, but 4 to 5 types of files. Like they mentioned HTML. I think there was a bucket, and there were like XML and thing, and I think one or two more. So I just wanna confirm it from
Yeah, it's the
you.
same things. It's all the things we have covered in the first 6 weeks. So it's HTML, XML, PDFs, the database files, Parquet files. These are the types of files you will get usually, typically. And when I say files, they may not necessarily be files. Okay, sometimes it is something you have to scrape out of a website, for example.
Okay.
So those are the main things that I can think off the top of my head. I think we covered all of that anyway.
So, and for zip file processing, that gzip from system commands is the only way, or do we have any other alternative?
Yeah, you can use if you're using, for example, Windows, you can use any. You can use 7-zip. I think is a open source software you can use to extract files. The zip files that we will be providing this time in ROE will be, not password protected, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just a simple extraction should work. But yeah, you can use whatever you're comfortable with. Is the bottom line. There's no restriction on what software you can. 7-zip I find is quite easy to use, but you can use any other software you want as well.
Okay, so you mean to say we can just download and unzip and work on whatever way we want?
Yeah, absolutely. There is no restrictions on where you work on the files and how you work on it. My suggestion is to work on it directly on your desktop, because then that way at least you will not have any issues. So say, for example, you have some internet connectivity issues or something. So one of the problems that sometimes students have faced in the past, I'm not saying this happens all the time, but some students face this issue. They may have some internet connectivity issues, and if they're working on Google Colab, sometimes the runtime deletes any temporary files that are uploaded to Google Colab, for example, right? And then you lose your work, then you have to redo it, and all that sort of thing. You avoid all those issues when you're working directly in VS Code on your desktop. So that's just something, that's why we always encourage students to use VS Code. But I appreciate the fact that some of you might find it easier to use Colab. But just be aware that there may be some downsides, but then you can't tell us later and say, oh, I had a problem with Colab, or I had a connectivity issue, therefore, please do some exception for me. There's almost no chance of getting an exception done, okay, in those situations. But that's why I keep emphasizing, we have demonstrated again and again, most of the answers that we solve, we do it on VS Code, even though it's available on Colab. The main advantage Colab has is all the dependencies and major libraries are already pre-installed on this. So you don't have to install any of that, but that's easily overcome in VS Code. If you prepare the environment beforehand, right? So you create a virtual environment, uh, install all the libraries that you will use typically. Pandas, the ones I shared with you today, I think it's called Panda SQL, PyArrow, NumPy, SciPy, NetX. I think we talked about it last session. So all these libraries, have them pre-installed in your VS Code and test them. Okay, don't test them on the ROE day. Test them like tomorrow or even tonight. Extract some files, open some files, check and see everything works as expected, that you're not facing any dependency issues. Things of that sort you keep ready so that you can then not have any issues. So then in that case, it will work just like Colab, right? You don't have to do anything on the day. Everything works just out of the box.
Sir, what's the benefit of using VS Code over Collab?
It's the ones I just mentioned, right? The fact that it's the connectivity issues don't affect you on VS Code. You are able to install a lot of extensions on VS Code that you can't on Colab. We use a lot of extensions to help with different things, right? So you can have extensions that look, so for example, one extension that I can straight away off the bat think of is, let's say you have an SQLite file. In Colab, you have an extension that can directly open an SQLite file, and you can view it and immediately filter the file as if it was a CSV or a spreadsheet. Such kinds of extensions are there. There's something called Data Wrangler. There's something called SQL Viewer. Like that, there are many extensions, helpful extensions that are provided in VS Code but Google Colab may not have that those capabilities. You cannot increase the capabilities of Google Colab like you can with VS Code. Another thing that you can do in VS Code, I know like one thing that many people like in Colab is the Gemini AI, right? But something similar is available in Google Colab. Either you can use GitHub Copilot. If so, those of you who have a GitHub education account, you can get GitHub Copilot for free. Or if you don't have access to the GitHub education account, you can use something called Codium, Codeium. Let me just, yeah, Codeium. I'll just type it in here. One thing to be careful about, so it's Codeium. One thing to be careful about is to make sure that you see the spelling of that very carefully, okay? Because there are some fake ones, fake extensions that are not what they advertise to be, okay? That can sometimes be an issue. So just make sure you're searching for the one I have mentioned in here. It's Codium, and there are millions of downloads of this particular AI assistant. It works just the same as GitHub. In fact, it's rated better than GitHub Copilot. And you can do so. Let me just quickly show you one here.
That with the green icon, is it?
Yeah. So it'll look like this. Okay. As you can see, 1.8 million downloads, and look at this, 5 stars on average, right? That's pretty impressive. This stuff works just like Gemini, and you know, you can do things like, so if I just show you like an example, so if I do okay, and let's say I want to, okay, I also have to, sorry, I have to select a kernel. So if I do something like this, right, open a file and read its contents, okay. So you can see here, once you type a comment, that's how you interact with it as an AI. It automatically provides you the solution below, okay. And because I've typed the comment in here, so this is like your chat GPT. You type what you want to do, and then it immediately, it's better than autocomplete. It actually gives you code suggestions, what to do if you want to do something, but you have to prompt it correctly. That's the only thing, okay. If you give a prompt that makes sense, it will give you a function or any number of types of code that you can use for it, okay. And it's called Codium, Codeium. The only thing I will say about Codium is you get, by the way, you get Codium chat as well. And if there are errors in your code, you can directly right click and ask Codium what is the issue. And what Codium will do is it will explain to you what the error is and why you're getting that error and how to fix it. So that much, it has a lot of value. Codium has a lot of value in terms of the extension. So definitely it's something you can install in VS Code and use, and it works great. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen?
It was visible a few seconds back, but now it's not.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Anyway, did you see the completion and all that I showed you?
That Codium thing, installation, it was visible.
This bit where I typed in the comment and it auto-generated the code.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So that's Codium. Okay. So but that's an example. There are lots of extensions like that. Like I said, there is an SQL viewer extension. There are which you can directly look at an SQL file or a DB file, and then you'll be able to run filters without typing any commands. You just go to the column and type what you're filtering on, and it will show you the contents, filter it down immediately. So various sorts of extensions like that are available, which are typically not available in Colab. Okay, I think you guys have any more questions for me or Jivaraj? Or... Okay, if there are no more questions, then we'll close this session. I'll first stop the recording.